Okay, good evening, everyone. I am here once again with my very good friends, Harley Baker, fellow Hall of Fame member, World Team member, world record holder, and also our great friend Jeff Summers, fellow Hall of Famer, world record holder, and four-time Super Shoot winner. Welcome, guys. How's
Well,
everybody
Hey,
doing?
thank you.
good evening.
Hey, we do appreciate everybody's suggestions for videos. Our good friend Mike Suey, top veterinarian in the whole country, had said, "Hey, why don't you guys do a video on evaluating barrel quality?" Which we just concluded earlier tonight. And we appreciate Mike for the suggestion and appreciate all your comments. And with that, we'd love for you guys to like us, subscribe to us, and again, we'll be on the notification for new videos when we introduce them. We're trying to do videos here as we start the dreaded winter season coming up. Every week, we'll try to have some new content for you. And our goal, guys and gals, is to really introduce people to the great sport of bench rest, short range bench rest, whether it's score or group. A lot of the things that we're sharing can transfer over certainly into long range shooting. The same principles that kind of what we have found that's worked well for us and helped each one of us be successful will transfer over into certainly other disciplines. But we do appreciate your comments. We appreciate your support. It's certainly nice to hear at the recent World Championships after the Nationals. You know, our friends from New Zealand, South Africa, Australia, England were telling us how much they appreciate the videos. And if it can help someone new get started into our great sport, and also someone who might be struggling a little bit, trying to advance their skills to get to the next level or find some success. We certainly hope that what we're sharing, some of the different techniques, tips, tricks, methods, practices, will help you in how you approach the sport of bench rest to get more out of it and find greater amount of success. So tonight, guys, we've got the tack driver here in a couple weeks. We're going to go see our great friend Jim Klein. You arrive in Orangeburg at the range. You go out and the rifle that shot so well maybe a few weeks ago or a month ago, now you get to a new range or the tack driver and it's spitting shots or it is just not working. Um, what do you do? What is your process when things go south with a rifle that you had? What do you do to try to identify, number one, what the problem is and how to correct it? And Harley, we're going to turn this over to you for your thoughts and what maybe experiences that we've all had where this rifle, what happened? It's not shooting anymore. So hand off to you, Harley.
Well, I appreciate it, but boy, this is one that uh, you're going to have to use the book we've talked so much about is your notes, the notes on that barrel. You might find that all your other guns that you're shooting that year want that bullet somewhere over here, and you're going to go back through your notes and just review because you do get lost. You do get lost. It's important to understand the mental aspect of this game. Yes, we all want great barrels. We all want great bullets. We all want this or that. But the mental aspect is keeping your head clear. There's certain basic a line that we go through. Number one, what's the bullet hole look like? You've just shot it down there. What's the bullet hole look like? As we've said in our previous videos, my bullets, I've measured them under the diameter under 230. That bullet's a 243 caliber. Is it round? You could see it when it starts. It doesn't keyhole, but the bullet will go through, and it'll be a long bullet, or it'll just tear the paper funny. So, well, my gun is right, but today it's not. So I'm going to look at the bullet hole. That's going to be the very first thing. The next I'm going to look at, I want when I'm going to on my cider, I'm going to pick a very honest condition, and let's say it might be blowing hard right to left. Okay, and I'm gonna test that condition, and I'm gonna shoot a shot. And before I touch the trigger, I'm going to say, okay, I'm thinking that that bullet should move one ring. That's what I'm thinking. And all of a sudden, that thing is over, let's say 2.5 rings, especially at 200 yards. Now, do I have a good bullet hole? I am not getting anything out of the gun. I've got to retune this thing. And if I have the time and I'm at the my reloading bench after I come back, or I'm shooting it and I have to make some major decisions on the fly, I go, I when I go to the line, first thing, you do not go to the line with 7 rounds in your block.
Mhm.
All right. Let's say 30.1 shot a decent group. Then it sort of came apart a little bit. I should be able to go to 30.3 or back up to 29.9. I should have at least 2/10 apart. Uh, you don't need 10 rounds, but you need at least three
Mhm.
to say, all right, this looks too hot. I try a little bit hotter load and it's even hotter, then I know that I'm going the right direction. I got to back off. But you have to do some. Most guns just don't stop. They sort of lead into it. That gun that was shooting, it shot a nice 170 first match of the, and then it shot a 190. Okay, I'm okay. It usually doesn't go from a 170 to a 280
Mhm.
unless something
Or
major happens,
worse. Yeah.
or worse, or worse. So it'll usually tell you that I'm going out of tune, even though you don't want to hear it. One of the hardest things to do, and I struggle with this at a lot of matches. I'll walk up and I'll come off the line shooting, let's say a 180, 190 group. Okay, no, I'll take them all day long. And to go change the load after shooting a 180 or a 160 or a one, that is a hard one right there to do. I mean,
Now, who would do that on this call and stuff? None of us, right?
but that's part of the honesty. I'm going to say this, and I remember Tony Boyer saying this many years ago. Uh, I just had shot. It was an excellent group. It was like a 120, 130 group, just exactly what you're looking for. And he happened to be watching. He said, Harley, he said, I think I'd change that.
You
And
might.
how do you go back to the reloading bench and change that?
Mhm.
Well, Harley didn't change it. He walked right back up there and shot the nice flat three you've ever seen in your life
Beautiful.
because the gun was going out of tune. Because watching the conditions, shooting the gun, looking at the bullet hole, am I getting what I deserve? All of this comes into tuning that rifle. So when the gun stops shooting, look back one group and say, no, I shouldn't have came out of there like that. I need to change something and having something to test when you're in the middle of that.
Mhm.
That's about where I start. And
Mhm.
we'll go from there. Jeff?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess I took this a little different. The gun stop shooting. Is it major stop shooting or
Right.
like Harley said, most these rifles don't really, they kind of lead into it, lead going away, stuff like that, where you're having to change the tune on them. But if you got a rifle, you go up, all of a sudden, if you take it out of the case or something, maybe the first group, well, it's not even shooting anywhere. It's just splattering groups. First thing I would look at, probably, well, if you use a couple of different rifles and you use the same seat and die, maybe look at your seater. Double check your notes, double check your measurements. See if that's right. It maybe the seat, maybe the sizer. Make sure you got the right sizer button. So make sure everything's like it's supposed to be according to your notes. If that's not it, and it's still really shooting bad, I would check the scope. Check this tightness of the rings and stuff. Matter of fact, this summer I had a scope. I kept getting like late, it was later in the day, and the point of impact kept coming down a little lower, and I would click, maybe one click, two clicks up, and then finally I come up to the line, and I, get on the rifle, and I'm, sitting there, and I have to kind of stretch forward. It's like I look, and I thought, oh crap, the scope's kind of slid, it's
Yep.
progress,
Move
just
forward.
moved easily forward.
Mhm.
It was still shooting pretty good,
Mhm.
but you don't know. Maybe you've got a scope mount loose. Maybe you've got a
Right.
scope base loose. I mean, this is stuff to check. I guess if you really get into more technical stuff, maybe the firing pin spring's gotten weak or something. It's just just check all these different things. But the first thing I would check would be checking the notes. Make sure the seating depth, your sizer, and basically the powder charge is close to where it's supposed to be. And then you get into the other thing, like, okay, you started out, the gun was shooting good, and then later in the match, first two matches, the gun that went out of tune and it's not shooting good. Okay, well, hopefully you have kept good notes, so now, okay, well, you're going to have to make some drastic changes. You're going to have to go up, two or three, 3/10 or so, 4/10 in powder, or maybe back off powder, or seating depth. You're going to have to, if it's according to how bad it stopped shooting, you're going to have to make some drastic changes or just little subtle changes.
Mhm. Okay.
So I don't know.
Yep. Now let's differentiate. You get to a range and the gun is out of tune. Okay. We kind of talked about trying to maybe get it back in tune, looking at notes. Let's talk about that next dreaded level where, boy, it's like all over the place. What I normally do is, again, the notes are key to make sure that seating depth, everything is where it should be. But sometimes you got to pause and say, all right, what did I change? I haven't shot this rifle maybe in a month. Maybe it's been several months over the winter time, perhaps. What have I changed? First and foremost, did you change a lot of bullets from what worked well a couple months ago or last fall if you're coming into spring? Is that lot of bullets a known good quality lot of bullets? Easiest thing to change is your bullets. Start there. If you're really still struggling with it, to Jeff's point, you've got to look at your scope mount, the rings, things that may appear tight or still tight are not. And it only takes a minute with an Allen wrench to check your scope, scope rings, and see if that makes a difference. And ideally, you want to try one at a time. A lot of times, true, if you've used a loopholed competition scope, that lock ring, so many people are plagued where they're having shots walking, and you walk up and you'll see that lock ring on their eyepiece on the loopholed competition scope. It's showing like 3 threads. It is flopping around. And, I had the opportunity previously to be at Loophole and purposely left that lock ring loose just to see what it would do in a tunnel condition. And it'll dot the first 3 shots, but 4 and 5 will always walk out of the group. So the lock ring, some of the most basic things. I'll kind of go through the other thing too is a lot of barrels are fouled and people don't realize that their cleaning method, they're trying to preserve that barrel or think that they're, you know, uh, ruining the barrel by maybe using some JB or some IOSO paste. And that barrel really needs something because it has got some serious fouling, whether it's powder or copper. And a lot of times that can cure a bad shooting gun. Um,
Absolutely.
so many things there. And then you can, peel the onion even further by, well, maybe let's look at the trigger hanger. A lot of times you'll have one of your trigger hanger screw might get loose, particularly that back one towards the back of the trigger where your pressure is. That can also cause you great grief in a lot of missed shots. And it never hurts to have a backup trigger in a spare trigger hanger where you can switch real quick and go up to the line. Trigger can get dirty. You can get just enough drag that it's affecting your ignition. And you also have to look to, I think Jeff's point, look at your fire control. You know, did you drop it over, a couple months ago or a month ago? The firing pins are easily bent. People don't realize how fragile that firing pin is. Or does it just need a little bit of lube inside that shroud where that cocking piece is rubbing? Any kind of drag, or if you've used too much oil, or I've seen people put grease inside the shroud where your cocking piece is inside there, that could really cause just a little bit of a delay to spit a bullet, a ring away from your respective group. So going through things one at a time is so important. And then we get into the front rest. Today's front rest, a lot of people are using some type of mechanical front rest, and it's so important to, go through that and see if that has become loose somehow. There's something in the front rest that's causing your lost shots. And you think, well, gosh, it's brand new, or I've only had it for a little bit of time. The joystick should be functional, it should be tight, but borrow someone else's front rest. There is a method and a way to try to address these issues. And, Jeff, if you maybe want to give an example of maybe things that you've looked at, in your front rest to make sure that everything's tight. I know, like me, you're squeezing a rear bag, and Harley uses a joystick rest. But Jeff, what can you share there, and maybe a front
Oh
rest?
yeah, look at your front rest. Make sure that the hold down, make sure everything's tight like it should be. Nothing's moving around. I mean, you could move it, pat it, move it around a little bit, see if anything's moving, when you shoot. And make sure that you've got a little just slight tension on your stock. Most of these rests have got tension screws on them, and I like a little tension on it. I don't like it really tight. Make sure that the stock, the front of the stock, is not moving back and forth in the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you need, to check stuff like that. If it's a joystick, make sure that you're not at the end of the travel or something, something like that. Or maybe the stops, maybe check and make sure your stop is not loose, in the rest. Just all kinds of different things like, like that come to mind. So,
right.
What about you, Harley?
One thing, and Jack mentioned it, when you do, when the gun just, it's not working. It's not working. Take the fire control out, grab the end up by the firing pin where the actual, and there's a little weight up there, and grab the shroud and twist it. Does that turn? Usually most of the riflesmiths, most of our guns, we have two set screws in the back holding the sear in place. You tighten the first one down, then you tighten it. Even with two of them, I've had them come loose.
Yep.
If that spring will turn, that is not a good thing. Easy enough to check. We always have we're always pulling our bolts apart and cleaning inside and everything. Take it apart, make sure it's not spinning.
Right. And a good thing to do when you are just dry firing and you're sitting at the gun, your back of your shroud, if you see it oscillate during your ignition when you're releasing it and it's moving, that is bad juju. Your gun will not shoot anywhere near its capability. To your point, Harley, if those set screws are loose and that shroud against that firing pin is moving, it is dissipating that energy where it's moving instead of releasing every time. So you're getting different hits on that, on your primer.
Right, and a lot of this information is pretty basic stuff, but it all goes back to the tuning and what Jeff said there about making sure your front bag is of the right tightness or the right looseness or whatever you want to say. Please never ever shoot a couple and say, man, the gun's not right, and I'm in the middle of my group. I understand that. Start fluffing up that bag, and you've got to resettle all that sand in there before you go back to that group. Don't don't shoot a couple of group. It's like changing your parallax adjustment on your scope in the middle of a group to clear the scope up. Do not do that. Do not adjust that bag until you saw the gun back and forth a couple of times, and then fire a fouler down on the sighter target, because that gun is not going to settle the same way.
Yeah.
Do not mix it, because that sand does shift around when you pull that trigger, because the gun wants to torque down and then come back, and it's going to settle that sand a certain way. And if you go fluffing it up in the middle of a group, do not do that. Do not do that.
Yeah.
Bad, bad, bad.
And even maintenance with your brass. If all of a sudden you've gone to a new full length eye, that can play havoc with your accuracy where you're bumping the shoulders too far back and you're actually fire forming every time, to where you really don't need to bump that shoulder back more than a thou and a half or 2 thousandths max, to where
Max.
that bolt is closing easy. Anything more than that, and that case is moving inside that chamber of that barrel, you're losing accuracy because you're now fire forming again with that case. And also with that, if you've changed lots of primers, or some people will have a tendency, they'll buy inexpensive primers to practice with and get fooled in thinking, well,
Yeah.
these are going to be just as good as, say, your Federal 205s, whatever it might be that you're using. That's just an easy thing. That, what did I change? Lots of bullets, primers, maybe different powder. Get through the basics of the easy things that you can easily correct or try and switch out, instead of changing a scope or changing a trigger. The other thing, which is also I've experienced, that I had just been a little bit rough with my Jag. I think I had bent it, and I had just worn 6 o'clock in the crown of my barrel. And, you've got to look at the crown of that barrel just to see if you dinged it or did something in your cleaning process where you could have damaged it. That also is very common. And that crown is so fragile, that needs to be something that, is looked at.
You
Yeah,
brought
and, when you're looking at that crown, it pays to have a little loop with you.
Yep.
Because
Right,
sometimes
yeah.
just to look at it, just get and tell you what you do to learn how to look at it. Look at a brand new barrel when you get one from your riflesmith, and before you put it, look at what a brand new barrel, no shots down the barrel at all, exactly how that looks, especially at the corner where the land goes up and it goes to meet that groove. Right at that corner on a four groove, you're going to have 8 little spots to look at. That has to be looked at, because that is so easy to get chipped up or fouled or and
Oh,
even
yeah.
bumped, even
Mm-hmm.
bumped. That's where the recess crowns are really got an at because you just by accident in your reloading trailer or in the
Oh, yeah.
reloading area, you hit the back of a chair
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, taking it out of the cradle and it sort of
Right.
bumps the cleaning cradle. Really get very critical on looking at
Yeah.
that.
Bending the cleaning rod, that Jag, like what I had done.
Right.
Right,
All of
exactly.
a sudden,
I mean, how can a brass jag damage a solid hardened steel? Well, it can.
yeah, very
It
easily,
can.
very easily.
And we've all had damaged crowns.
Yeah, and one of the common things, it seems like it, for anyone that's got a weight system in the back of their stock, at some point the weight's going to work loose, and a loose weight in the back of a stock is just a killer to getting your gun to shoot. I mean, it'll be very apparent if that weight is loose, because that is affecting that vibration at ignition in a major way.
because you'll see one of us and I see it all the time at Matt. Guys will pick up the guns and they'll just shake it
Hear
just
a
to hear
rattle.
did I hear a rattle? Did I
Right.
it's just something, a loose weight? Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Ones with the man, that's something you should check. And if you have any doubt about it, put a little fingernail polish on the threads when you put it in. because that'll break right away. You don't have to use Loctite, but a little fingernail polish or something like that will keep that weight tight. The
Right.
screws on the butt plate,
Mhm.
where that butt plate could sit there and then all of a sudden the gun comes back against your shoulder and now it's not hitting the same every time, every
Right.
time.
Yeah.
What about the length of your brass? Maybe your
Oh yeah.
brass has grown
Oh
too
yeah.
long.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
Yep.
always want to keep that trimmed at least, at the very minimum, 10 thousandths,
Yep.
shorter than your chamber length
And
at the
again,
very
Harley, I
minimum.
think you previously addressed it. You develop a good working relationship with your rifle smith or your bench rest gunsmith. Ask that person, what is the trim length on that reamer you're using to cut my barrels? And to Jeff's point, you definitely want to be 10 thousandths short of that to where you're not encroaching it. I've had people that couldn't close their bolt and they couldn't figure out why they're bumping the shoulder back, back, back. Well, they're putting in a piece of brass that's an inch 512 into an inch 500 chamber or a trim length.
Right,
It just
exactly.
is
Yeah.
not going to close. So that's a major thing. And again, keeping that brass trimmed. A lot of these little things can cause such major, major problems that will pull your hair out if you don't have experience. And by all means, get your mentor or your gunsmith involved if you're at a match or someone. Everyone's willing to help you if you're having problems. A fresh set of eyes after you've been through things 10 times and it couldn't possibly be this. And all of a sudden, someone says, hey, look at
oh,
this. Where did you set this up? Oh gosh, my seating depth, it's off 20 thousandths. Well, I didn't have a logbook before to maintain that. Or, I mean, there's literally hundreds of small things that could really ruin your day at a given match, or something new that you've introduced into your shooting system that really is not good, and it's having a major material effect on your accuracy performance of your rifle and stuff.
absolutely. Yeah. Every time you get ready, I try to use the same reamer. I know I'm using the same bullets. Uh, I, I- once once I get into a flow, I remember a lot of those numbers. I know my trim length is 1490 because I know my chamber is 1510. That gives me my 20 thou of movement. Certain numbers always come up. It's the unusual things, as Jack said. Did I change cleaning solutions? Am I JB in the barrel enough? Or am I not JB in the barrel? Or am I uh, something different? Yeah, I put a new front bag in
Mm-hmm.
my front rest. The old one started to leak sand.
Right.
Did you ever
Yep.
notice that since you put that in there that it's not shooting right?
You're right. No,
Well,
I didn't know. It
right.
couldn't be that.
Couldn't be. That is brand new.
Or you've changed cleaning processes or solutions and you don't have lube in the barrel on your first shot. You
Right.
and I both have experienced that,
Yes.
Harley, where, we're just going to try something different, whatever. And you need to have some lockies or just a little bit of oil, something to where that first shot is not going down a bone
Yeah,
dry
the gun
barrel.
settled down immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. A little bit of Lockies. Now again, it was 95, 98, 100 degrees, but I'd never saw that happen. And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden,
Right.
my first shot's not touching paper.
Right.
And then you start to worry, did it go above the line?
Right.
You start
Yep.
looking and you're wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to these, when these guns aren't shooting, uh, uh, understand you really have to understand how to tune a rifle. And it's a learning curve. Jeff's still learning it. Been at it 40 years. He still works on this every bullet, every shot down range. And something and I Jack, I'm going to ask Jack and Jeff to help me with this. You're shooting a right to left condition. All right. So it's going to cross. We know the bullet's going to go left and normally it's going to go up. And all of a sudden I say I shoot a flat two, but it goes left and the bullet goes down.
Right.
Now it's an okay group. Let's say it's a 220 group, but that bullet, that bullet should not be down there.
Right. If you're shooting uphill like Mainville, Kane, that could have that material effect of that wind going across. What we think in a right to left wind, the bullet should move to the left and it should go high.
Just up, right.
But when it goes left and down,
Now you start.
or conversely, we've all had this. I think even at St. Louis in a hard left or right wind at the super shoot, the bullet was going to the right, but going up. It should have been going to the right and down with the accordance with the twist, right hand twist of the barrel. So, different ranges may have different idiosyncrasies with that wind based upon the layout or terrain or mounds that have a vortex coming off of it. If you're over on bench 1 or 2, or you're at bench 58,
right, way down on the right side, right.
Or if you're shooting over a berm at 100 yards, fair chance at Whitekirk. There's a number of ranges where they've got a dirt berm could cause you problems at 200 yards where you're shooting over that berm. Berms are not going to help your groups if you're getting tailwind or headwind condition.
Because that goes along with all of a sudden the gun stops shooting. And it told me before that, hey, things aren't right here. You're dropping a bullet out low in a left to right condition. Something's not right. Even though it could have been a 230 group, okay group. I mean, you're not going to go up, but it's good enough to a good solid group, but it's not a 150, but it's not enough to hurt you like it's a 3. But that group should not have formed that way. And if you go back and now the next group out is not a 230. Now we really got issues. We've either spit a shot or
the gun was going out of tune. Yeah, it was going out of tune.
Before that gun told me, said, "Hey,
right,
I'm not right. You need to correct me."
Right. And again, also the bore scope, you never know. And sometimes you may have an inclusion in your barrel that develops, whether you damaged it or there's something in the steel that it works out. And now you've wasted a whole day. You've done all these things that we've all just talked about, looking for the weight, loose weight in the back of your stock. You've looked at, different trigger. You've looked at maybe you've changed your scope. You've gone through all these different things that, managing your brass and how you prepared it. And you get out the proverbial bore scope and there could be an inclusion inside that barrel that has developed. We've all kind of seen that over the years. So again, this is where having someone experience at that range that, hey, can you just take a minute? Here's what I've tried. The gun is shooting like half-inch groups at 100 yards. And there's something. And all right, well, let's go through it one by one. Did you try different bullet? Well, no, I didn't. Well, what bullets? Well, I got these bullets from X. Okay, well, let's try a different bullet. And lo and behold, or the primer thing, can be huge if people are chasing an inexpensive trying budget primers and stuff when they should be sticking to maybe some of the better primers today that were used. So look at again, what did you change? And that can, if you work it backward, there is definitely a way to say, okay, my cedar stem is loose. And when I look at my bullets, I had this happen years ago. I had a new cedar and my gun was shooting all over at 100 yards. And I happened to just kind of blow off the excess powder that was developing in my Delron block. And I looked at my loaded ammo and it looked like a New York skyline with different heights. And I'm starting to measure it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these things are like 8 thousandths, 12 thousandths off. I took the cedar stem out and that thing was just moving around. So every time I was using my arbor press to seat it, that top cap was moving and it was shooting all over the place. But things that you never think that, it was Loctited. It shouldn't have moved, but
it does. It does.
And again, just another set of eyes to look at things. It's so important and stuff.
the along the lines of not shooting and testing, when you go to test, you're on a whole, on an average day that we shoot, usually we start out just a little bit lighter, and we're usually incrementally stepping it up. I don't know how far that step's going to be. By the end of the day, probably 3 or 4 tenths, but always have some loads in there that you could test. If there's something happens and you go, man, I just didn't deserve that 340 group.
Right.
There's just no, I don't want to blame me, of course.
Right. No.
Never do that.
Or maybe you're with your friends at a national and you put a new scope on that's got more magnification and your groups look like they're 250s and you think you're shooting terrible. So you start preparing another gun and your friends are telling you that, no, you shot an 18 ag, you finished fourth in the ag. No, I'm going to change guns here. And this gun is just like the other gun. It's going to shoot the same. And then the first two shots are, not that I've ever done that or experienced that,
Trust me, guys, when it comes to this long-term, all this silly stuff that we're talking about right now, keep shooting. How could I get a damaged crown and shoot a group? How can I Jeff Summers, he's got a scopes moving. That would never happen to Jeff Summers. Jack with a stem, his stem's not good. That's a brand new cedar die. That thing's going to be worried. It's going to happen. Don't let it get you down. Just learn from it. Say, okay, I need to check this. I need to check. As Jeff went over with the rest when you're talking, I need to check this. I need to make sure this knob's tight. Get a little 5-step process. When you said, okay, I'm ready to go, 5 steps. First knob is tight. Next 2 knobs are tight. Joystick's in the right position. Scope slid back and forth 2 or 3 times, and the parallax is out. That takes, honestly, 10 seconds, and you've done that. But the rewards will be well worth it.
Right.
Whatever that 5 steps is, it could be whatever you need. Jack's not going to have to worry about checking his joystick because he squeezes the bag. But there's other things he has to make sure that he checks. Whatever that is, because Jack's doing with a flipper, he's making sure that he could go from record to side. One of the worst things is not checking that, and all of a sudden they say commence fire. You go to the record, and it's the flipper doesn't flip it up to the record now. And they're
my cider cam that I use, I have a Sinclair rest I've had for years. I squeeze a rear bag, and gun was shooting bad at a match we're having at Western Wayne in Detroit, and I noticed that cider cam, that handle was getting more on an angle away from me. And I look, it's no longer in line with the rear spoke of the rest. And gee, I wonder if that's a problem. So when I got done with the group, I went, lifted up that cider cam, and I could pivot it, just move it around. The bolt in that was just loose.
That would never affect a group.
Because one of you guys loosened it. But, we've been through it all, and I've swore that after 10 or 12 times, never again will I make that mistake. I'll learn generally, most of it.
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
Well, guys, great session. Any closing thoughts, Jeff? Anything that else you might
No, just going back on the rest thing. I mean, we've all been to matches, and you hear, a guy else shoot a bad group or something, and he's kind of looking around, and it's like, my front rest was loose. The pedestal was loose. My rest, I didn't lock it down. Or, like me, I was the scope. It wasn't that the rifle was shooting really bad. It's just, I should have thought about this. I don't know why, but I had to, click up. My point of impact had come down on a couple of matches. And I was blaming. I thought, man, the sun's doing, sun must be really bright today. my point of impact's coming down a little more. And then it's not when I, go up for the next match and I set the rifle down, and you kind of get accustomed to how things feel. I put the rifle down there, and you got to crane your neck, and I thought, well, my seat's too low. I need to raise my seat up. No, my scope's moving. So it's like, oh my goodness. So, here we go. So, but it's just simple stuff like that causes big problems.
Yeah, it certainly does. And,
Right.
We all build a history of things that can and definitely will go wrong.
Oh,
and,
it will go wrong. Yeah.
And as you shoot the game, you'll kind of learn a process to look for some of the obvious things. The brass is too long. Look at your crown. Some of the different things that changing different lot of bullets can make the big difference. And again, not being afraid to say, hey guys, I'm really struggling. I've tried all these different things. Here's what I'm seeing. Can you guys, get involved or take a look at this and stuff? And what do you see? And a lot of times another pair of eyes is real quick to say, oh yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to just say. This is even though we shoot it individually, it is a team sport. And especially when you're sitting down behind the gun and you're thinking you're hitting the condition.
Right.
And just I say, hey, Jack, could you just watch me shoot a group? Jeff, could you am I hitting this thing or am I missing it?
Right.
And you can't be defensive and go, what do you mean I'm missing it? Well, yeah, you're missing the condition. Yeah, I asked a lot of times guys are sitting around there, especially during the practice days, and you got a spotting scope. Just as I say, could you just help me for a second? And most 99.99% of the guys will say, sure, what do you want me to do? Just watch me shoot. Just check the flags. I'm going to shoot 4 shots and tell me what you think. I'm going to try to hit the condition. All right, I'm going to try to do that, and just tell me. And it's a team effort. The three of us are constantly reloading with each other, constantly sharing ideas and moving it back and forth, and that helps me a lot tune my rifle. When the three of us are talking, all of a sudden Jack's saying, well, I'm just not being able to add powder today. And Jeff goes, yeah, and I'm trying to shoot hot and it's not working. So I've got to back off. And maybe it's not 1/10 or 2/10. Maybe it's
we could be way out of tune, way too light, or not hot enough.
Or exactly. I mean, but all of this being said, just keep working on tuning our rifles. On tuning our rifles.
Yep, and ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help and stuff, especially with friends that are not trying to screw you up or whatever.
I'd put more powder in there if I were you, Jack.
Go ahead. Yeah. That rifle will shoot like the other one. Go ahead and change it. Boy, oh boy. Yeah. Great friend.
What was that group that guy shot? What was that first group? Do you remember Harley?
I do.
I know the first 2 shots went in the same hole.
No, yeah. I think it was the first 2 shots were a 348. And more painful to the group is you guys watching me with the spotting scope 40 yards away. I could hear you. Jeez, why did he change guns? Oh, well. Well, guys, again, great session. Again, key takeaways, ask people for help, a fresh set of eyes. Be cognizant of everything that you're doing. What's new? Did you introduce a new process? Whatever it might be, something different that you've done, you've changed bushings, bullets, whatever, there is definitely a key thing. And also the one thing we didn't touch on is your action starting to come loose. I had a gun I fought for most of the summer and could not get it to shoot. And I started to pinch the barrel and the forearm and the back of the tang. You could see come up and down, and the gun was just about to totally break free from where it's glued in. So again, that's just one more thing I'll add. But guys, great information from all your vast experiences. Again, I think it's great that we all, share our experiences, apply the resources that we've learned and methods to get things back on track. For our viewers and subscribers, we appreciate you. Like us, subscribe. Please leave us comments. Let us know what you like, what you'd like us to see cover, and we'll be sure to respond and add these different content and upcoming videos that we're going to do each week. So, guys, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to next week's video.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.